President Trump put out a statement on abortion.
Yeah, let's kick off with the words of President Trump himself. So if you're watching this right now, here is President Trump. He put this, I think this morning, came out with his stance.
Campaign. This
yeah, because he had been kind of, asked the question a few times, and it had kind of gone back and forth as how they were going to officially, in the campaign, say it, now that they know, because obviously the last time was a pre-Dobbs world, so it's a little bit different. So let's take a listen to President Trump, and we'll break it down when we get back. Take a look.
Under my leadership, the Republican Party will always support the creation of strong, thriving, and healthy American families. We want to make it easier for mothers and families to have babies, not harder. That includes supporting the availability of fertility treatments like IVF in every state in America. Many people have asked me what my position is on abortion and abortion rights, especially since I was proudly the person responsible for the ending of something that all legal scholars, both sides, wanted and, in fact, demanded be ended. Roe v. Wade. They wanted it ended. It must be remembered that the Democrats are the radical ones on this position because they support abortion up to and even beyond the 9th month. The concept of having an abortion in the later months and even execution after birth, and that's exactly what it is. The baby is born, the baby is executed after birth, is unacceptable, and almost everyone agrees with that. My view is now that we have abortion where everybody wanted it from a legal standpoint, the states will determine by vote or legislation or perhaps both, and whatever they decide must be the law of the land, in this case, the law of the state. Many states will be different. Many will have a different number of weeks, or some will have more conservative than others, and that's what they will be. At the end of the day, this is all about the will of the people. You must follow your heart or, in many cases, your religion or your faith. Do what's right for your family and do what's right for yourself. Do what's right for your children. Do what's right for our country and vote. So important to vote. At the end of the day, it's all about will of the people. That's where we are right now, and that's what we want, the will of the people. Like Ronald Reagan, I am strongly in favor of exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. You must follow your heart on this issue, but remember, you must also win elections to restore our culture and, in fact, to save our country, which is currently and very sadly a nation in decline.
So, I mean, Logan, I thought one of the key lines there, which I liked a lot, was the execution after birth. So talking about that post-birth abortion, which we have been talking about for years because of the Virginia governor, Ralph Northam, who no longer the Virginia governor, but when he was, he talked about how even if a baby was born and they were thinking about whether or not they should have an abortion, they would keep it comfortable until they decide until they decide whether or not to take its life. So, I mean, literally, as President Trump said, he called that execution after birth, which we know it's not just something we make up in the pro-life community.
They'll claim you do. They'll claim that this is a
but
fiction.
Go to Ralph Northam.
Right.
Go to pro-abortion Democrat elected leaders in the state of Virginia. He was the governor, and he said it, and he was a pediatric neurosurgeon. So he was speaking directly to things
authority.
He has seen with authority. But what President Trump also said, Logan, is this. I told you, I'm proud that we got Roe versus Wade overturned. Now the battle, and we've said this so many times on this show, our goal at the ACLJ, and we didn't know when we'd ever get to this goal, but now we're there, was to get this battle out of Washington, D.C., and return it to the states. Return it to the kitchen tables. Return it to your local churches and communities. So then you can decide what kind of restrictions you're comfortable with. So you can educate people on it. Because for so long, Logan, I mean, it was this violates Roe versus Wade, so you can't have this law.
So it didn't matter what it was. I'll briefly break this down for you. These sort of the highlights of it. Look, we're not saying we endorse this or don't. So this is just what President Trump's platform is. So he said it should be decided by the states. It should be the law of the state, and that abortion will look different everywhere. He did not endorse a national ban, did not say whether there was a number of weeks for a federal cutoff, previously supported a federal 15-week ban, supports the 3 big exceptions, and obviously with the life the life of the mother is in jeopardy, supports protections for IVF, and he was boasted that he was proudly the person responsible for the overturning of Roe versus Wade. So that's where we are right now. Let's go ahead, take a few phone calls before we wrap up. Let's go to D, who's calling in California. It'll move back from other topics. D, you're on the air.
Yes, I have a statement that when I was in high school, I did a speech on abortion versus capital punishment.
Yep.
The interesting thing I found in my research was people that are in most cases that are pro-abortion, are against capital punishment. My closing statement for my classmates was this: here's this unborn child, fetus, call it what you will, it's life. You want to snuff his or her life out before he or she has a chance to be right or wrong. On the other hand, you want to keep this person alive that may never be rehabilitated. Why? They use the term pro-choice. There is no pro-choice. You're either pro-abortion or pro-life.
All right, well, thank you, Dee, for your comment.
Yeah, and I do think there's a lot of interplay between, how can you oppose the death penalty for convicted, murderers? And not to say, again, that we did have some problems with some cases.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where there were some DNA issues.
I think it's okay if you go one way or the other.
A lot of those have been handled.
Yeah.
But, it's tough to say, well, I support that. But I don't support that. But I do think that these children should be, executed, basically, as President Trump used the term,